Hello? Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Calling EU. Ring ring, hello. You don't know this, but this is like take who knows what.
You don't have to tell them.
No.
First take.
First take.
One and done.
One and done. We're here. We've got two calling champions from the UK. We've got Francesco, Giorgio, and Jacob Clements, both very, very amazing players in the UK scene. Francesco, Jacob, how are you guys doing?
Good.
All good, all good. Thanks for organizing this.
No, you're welcome. Welcome. We're going to crack in. Francesco, you've brought a topic, and if anyone wants to bring a topic along for future episodes, please just comment below. And any of our guests going forward will be able to answer one of your awesome topics. And we've also got some patrons as well that have been thrown out a topic, which we'll see near the end. But we'll start off with you, Francesco. Topic number one. Do we need generic card rotations? So, because this is our first take and you're not going to say this again, what do you mean by this topic?
Yeah, so the game currently has a living legend system, we all know, and I think that system is really quite good.
Yeah.
To rotate heroes out of the classic constructor format. So a hero will rotate, his weapon will rotate, but then by extensions, other cards that are associated with the hero will go. I don't know, Oldhim, for example, will take Winter's Veil with him,
Yeah.
but also other cards like Oakenhold or Endless Winter. And then they can bring this card back as they want, like they did now with Charlie, but
Yeah.
there is a point at which the hero goes and the cards go with him. But we don't have this currently for generics.
No.
So we still play a lot of cards from the first sets, like a few notable ones, Singbalo, Tunic, CNC. So it's not just the big expensive one, but also there are some of the common Snatch that are still played and very good cards. And I think this creates some issues. So there's first how the old cards will interact with new mechanics,
Yeah.
and or just generally new cards. And there's problem that leads to cards being banned, like we've seen all the draw tools after war, the tomes and so on.
Yeah.
Or the new interaction that there was with Zephyr Needle and the retreat mechanic ended up with Zephyr Needle being banned. I mean, that's not a generic, but it kind of still applies as an old card.
Yeah.
And then there's another issue of cards existing and limiting the design space, just because there's so many cards that just do similar things, but now you can play all of them. For example, the Diriac, so there's Singbalo, Faithful Sin, and now there's the new Shelter,
Yeah.
which is a very nice design, the design I like. But now you can basically just put 9 Diriacs in a deck. Now, maybe that's the direction where they want to go, but what about if they bring new ones? Now we have a deck of like 30 0-for-4 Diriacs.
Yeah. When does it stop?
Not-
I know what you mean.
Yeah, exactly.
When does this stop? I hear you. Right. So it's kind of a hard one, really, because there's this whole fine balance of it all, isn't it? Of when someone has spent this amount of money on stuff like Tunic, stuff like Command and Conquer, stuff like even E-Strike, right? And I bet you any money they probably do have a look at it and go, but someone recently has purchased this, and when we just say we're going to ban it, man, it's going to you sort of see this with Magic the Gathering and just other games that they do this really. It's quite a spooky ban of where people actually get your money a little bit, and you kind of go, oh, what? Tunic's gone? That feels rough. So I know what you mean. It's kind of it's a hard position, because I do think, especially with Tunic, it kind of goes, why would I want anything other than Tunic most of the time? I know there's arguments, that you probably won't always run Tunic, but I know what you mean. Jacob, what's your thoughts on this topic?
I think there's a sense in which some of these early cards have become like iconic, or like, if not iconic, but just like I don't know, the baseline in some ways. They're like the identity of the format, and so it like feels weird to talk about removing them. But I do think they have actually done a reasonably good job of printing class specific uh like replacements. Like this like chaos. I mean, some of these cards I'm gonna say you might be too pushed and be bad designs for other reasons. But at the very least, like we see decks like KO has the slash thing that they run instead of Tunic. The mechs have like multiple chess pieces that they choose to run over Tunic, like the core, but then also the one in the dash deck that like gives you a resource every time you boost. Like Zen had like a chest that he like. I don't know. I think it's like interesting where even though they're very prevalent, they do also sometimes have like hero or synergy oriented like versions before run over them. Like Syndra isn't a Tunic deck, and it's also not always a Sink Below deck, and it's definitely not a CNC deck, and it's not usually an E-Strike deck. And so it's like at least somewhat interesting how they do manage to walk this line, because I think it'd be a different conversation if like literally every deck just you started with like 12 staples. But I don't think that is quite true. They are maybe like always prevalent in the deck building conversation, but then always in the deck. And so I think they're at least on that front doing a good enough job that I don't
Yeah.
feel too bad about this.
Yeah. I am in that camp of like personally I'm not too like I'm not too bothered, but then again I'm not too I'm not a guy that gets too bothered about too many things. But when it comes to the generic stuff, I'm kind of I'm all right with it. I think shelter is an issue, and when I say an issue, I don't think the card is the
What would you
issue.
think?
I think the cost of what this card is an issue.
Sure. But the card, you wouldn't never think of the card as being a problem if you weren't used to symbol.
Right.
And also that it's a majestic. If it was just a random common, and it could really be because it's not that special of a card.
No, that's true.
If it was a common in the first set, you wouldn't think anything particular about the card. So I'm saying because we used to say symbol as a card, it's kind of created the perception around shelter, and also its rarity, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
They should have snuck shelter by us by printing it at common, and then we'd have been so warped by like how, because Sink Below is like so much more powerful than all the other cards in its class.
Yeah.
But because it's been there the whole time, we've become like warped by it. They could have snuck it right, because shelter's like is decent right now, but it's a meta game call, and there will be like a lot of metas where it's worse than Fate, and it'll probably never be better than Sink. So it honestly could have just snuck right by.
Yeah.
If it wasn't printed into the meta where it's really good at Majestic, which is funny to think about.
Yeah. No.
By the way, I should say that I'm actually all for them printing more cards that are class specific, especially the Diriads. I think all the Diriads would be nice as class specific.
It felt like
Storm, so it has Storge. Ranger as the one that reloads.
Yeah.
It makes more sense. All the cards are like this. And as Jake was saying, for the chess, I'm a big fan of what they're doing. Although now the cards do exist, these old ones, and the fact that some of them have the issue that some of them bring have to be resolved through bans, and the bans create that situation that you say where it's like your money disappears.
Yeah.
You spend money on the cards, and then, oh, it got banned. But that's why I'm more talking of rotation, where so Living Legend system, everybody knows is there, and you know that your hero will slowly go out, and your cards will evaluate well when your hero goes, but you know where this is going to happen. But a ban, okay, someone finds a deck that is too powerful, goes on coverage, does some incredible win with the deck, card is banned suddenly, and maybe you bought them the day before.
Yeah.
And there's a crushing price. So that would leave a bad feeling. But with the rotation, you would know roughly sort of the lifetime of the card, and then you can make your buying decision being aware of that.
Yeah, that's true. I feel that what compounds the situation a bit more with Shelter is that they can't ban like Sync anymore now, because all that's going to do is massively inflate the cost of shelter even more, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's almost as if they could have just turned around and went, like, I don't know, like, I know that like, maybe I just need a bit of a hot, like, for me, and maybe for a viewer watching this, what is so problematic about 0 for 4 D-Reacts, i.e. Fate, Sync, and now Shelter? What is the grave issue?
How many unconditional 0 for 4 go again attacks are in the game?
What hero are we do? Yeah, well, I mean,
No, well, the answer is that there are none. There are no unconditional 0 for 4 attacks in the game. They're all conditional.
All right, yeah, okay. So all of them.
There are 3 different 0 for 4 unconditional go again cards. Now they're not attack, but by the nature of Flesh and Blood, it's not that different. Like because we got used to like Sync and Fate, it's kind of hard to understand how powerful they are, especially because we're playing them in the opponent's turn. It doesn't create more. So if you have a turn and you go like Scarf for a Scarf, Scarf for a Scarf, Scarf for a Scarf, Snatch, that seems a crazy turn.
Yeah.
But if you go like Fate, Shelter, Sync, and then Snatch, it's not going to appear as quite as good when you play your Snatch.
No, that's...
I don't know if I'm clear with what I'm saying, but...
No, I understand what you're saying.
No, you got... Yeah, I think it's like... I suppose, really, I do kind of know what you mean, but I also... Maybe I am just so... You're right. I'm so warped with this, is that when I started playing, they were in the game, and I'm just like, yeah, that I've kind of not, I've accepted this is what happens, and I just haven't sort of viewed what would happen if they never made Shelter and they banned Fate and Sync from the game, right? So there's no 0 for 4 easy defense reaction stuff anymore. What would the game look like?
I'm not saying they should ban anything, in fact.
No. Okay, well, if they just never existed, what would that look like?
I think
I'm a bit like, oh, I don't... maybe because I'm so conditioned, I'm like, that sounds super spooky to me.
I would be more for class-specific or talent-specific D-Reacts.
Yeah, like
all know what to do with the class.
Like, what's it? The Earth one, Carapace, for example. Where
Rootbound Carapace.
Rootbound Carapace is a 0 for 4, but you need to do some work.
So, Rootbound Carapace actually illustrates the point quite nicely, that even constrained to a specific talent, so typically you'd expect the talent cards to be stronger than the generic cards, rather than having an upside like the 0 for D-Rex, it actually has a condition. Now, of course, the nature of Decompose, the condition can be upside if it then means you have spellings for 4, but still the fact that rather than just getting a 0 for 4 with upside, you have to like at least do other stuff to make it happen shows just how pushed it is. That within, because usually there's a pretty clear cut.
Yeah, like, I think you're right.
Where the class specific cards or the talent specific cards can be stronger than the generics.
I think I've I've definitely twigged now, because I'm also looking at like reduced to Rune Chant. What was it? Yeah, reduce. It's like, whoa, okay, it's a 1 cost for 4, but it costs less if you've got this, and if you block, it also gives you this benefit, right? And you kind of go, I don't put them in because it's way too risky for me to hold on to a Rune Chant, right? It's good, so much upside, too risky because I might not have a Rune Chant, and it just costs 1. That's just too much. I'll put Sync in. And you're just totally right, because it's so free. There's just there's nothing to it. Just block 4.
But the discussion is not just limited to Sync and Fate, but also even the powerful ones like CNC. CNC kind of has the same thing, where they could print, if they decide Threatening Arsenal is a feature of the game, which it really should be, then just print class-specific or talent-specific cards that do the same thing. Similar things, but more on the theme of the class, like Sandpacking, very good one, or No Weakness.
Yeah.
But Brute
These
has
are
multiple like functionally worse CNCs, which is again on the same thought of really, if you're class specific, you should be better. Because Sandpacking
Yeah.
and the 2 for 6 it only destroys it if it's an attack.
Yeah, it is weird, isn't it? And it's almost like I feel like what happens if they did just like over time, and maybe they're probably really worried that if they did go, okay, cool, here is like a brute CNC, right? That is just as good, but then you're kind of, but do you know what I mean? They start lacing out what the generics are doing, but weed it into classes, and then slowly bring people's hype down from these cards, and then eventually go, yeah, should we just actually move this on? But you then got to go through a period of time of, oh my god, there's just some heroes that are running with both. Do you know? I don't know. It's like, I know what you mean, Francesco. It feels like they've made a rod for their own back.
Maybe that's better than having heroes that are somewhat outside of their class, like say Illusionist playing CNC, which doesn't quite fit with what Illusionist does, but obviously all Enigmas are going to play CNC.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's
and you can play Sync in Syndra, which doesn't quite fit the theme of the deck.
Yeah, there is I can imagine someone making a counter argument around this of going, like, what if certain classes just lack tools to deal with metas? Will people be very happy going, right, well, my heroes just clearly doesn't deal with this, but we've got tools with generics. If that makes sense.
But there's a difference between the tools existing and the tools being the best in class.
Yeah,
because I think
the
way the game should be, the way the game ideally would be designed is that the generic versions of these types of effects would be the very worst, and then in exchange for being class specific or having to engage with your class's minigame, you get a better rate version. And because some of these generics have come out quite powerful, they've kind of shackled themselves now because they can't make the generics the worst version because the generics have started too high. But then when they make the class versions, like, no one's going to run strength rules all.
What card's that? I don't even know what that card.
It's the card from the KO Armory deck, the like brute 2 for 6 that if it hits, you turn their arsenal face up and destroy it if it's an attack. Like, ideally, CNC would be like a 2 for 5 or something because it's under rate because it's the generic that does this. And then brute players would be all excited that because arsenal destruction is in their class's identity, they get to run this better version. But because CNC was already a 2 for 6, like, you can't print strength rules all as a 2 for 7, so you just have to make it a worse CNC, and then you're like, well, now no one will play it, so it doesn't matter that it's there.
Oh god, Francesco, I feel like I've taken the red pill.
Unlike the Tunic style card, in fact, we tend to think of the chests that are better than Tunic as being busted, like Sash.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can see that there is some serious, like, even the blood splatter chess piece is just like, well, I think it's kind of classy. It feels like, oh, this feels very good.
I think it's a very good design. That if we didn't have the comparison with Tunic, we wouldn't think that it's too good, or it's just like the ninja identity. You can use all of it in one turn if you want.
Yeah.
Like, I think a lot of the cards they printed to like supplement the generics in decks, especially with the like chests they printed recently, are all quite cool. But almost by nature of how powerful Tunic is, it's hard. It's like hard to fully endorse their design sometimes because it's like, I think this is a really cool design. It might just be too good though, by nature of being a good, like, it's like it's impossible now.
Okay.
Because the only way to print something relevant is to print something too pushed, almost.
Do we have okay? I feel like this is brilliant. I actually genuinely thank you, Francesco. I've been kind of generic red pilled at this point now, especially when I'm looking at Aurora, going, "Oh my god! I mean, what is this lightning hero? Snatch and E strikes and rabbles? Like, is this even lightning Runeblade?
Yeah, where is the Runeblade, lightning Runeblade in this? I mean, we're kind of used to this because Brian did the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. But what is this?
Completely different than Viscerai.
Yeah, no, 100%. Viscera is just like like I think that's just great design where they just turn around and go, like even for like maybe even like Verdance or something like that, where they actually just lean into going, you know what, these stuff are powerful, but the more you just lean into your hero, the better your hero kind of is. And then there's kind of maybe an argument of, well, that's cool,
It should be.
but most of the time when heroes do get super leaned in to what their heroes want to do, they're generally, I don't know if I'm probably getting this totally wrong, but they're generally not that very good, right? It when you have to be so committed to the cause, like Wager, for example, you know,
Right.
it is you have to lean in order to make the purpose of what this hero is meant to do, but it's not very good because we had to lean in too hard.
Maybe one reason is because you have mechanics or parasitics like wagers, is that they actually don't work with the generic cards that are powerful.
Yeah, that's it.
Because
Yeah.
like CNC can do anything special if you play it in Betsy.
Yeah,
But it feels like with the class and talent system, you should get rewarded for playing into like the parasitic. So I guess one thought I've had on this is that because it seems we don't want to ban the cards because this is just
No.
unappealing.
What is the
reason.
solution?
And
Yeah.
introducing a rotation, like although long term has the effects of like, well, you're not just banning the card, people know it's coming. Like in the switching time is functionally a ban because people didn't know the rotation was coming and now it has come and it's credit card prices. So a thought I've just had off the top of my head, which would still have the same cost of like in the switching moment, people didn't know it was coming, but I thought sounds kind of interesting to me at least, is like some card games have systems around the number of cards you can have of a like type or whatever. So if you had a system by which heroes could only run X number of generics, to be like, you have to be, you can't show up with 60 generic Aurora or whatever. Like the generic's there to supplement your hero.
Kind of like.
So you can only run 15 generics in your deck.
Yeah,
the numbers made up.
Yeah,
but...
sure. Just run. Yeah, 15. There you go. You can, or even 10. I don't know. You got like 90% of your deck when you present it has to be the talent. You got 10 generics, and then sideboard, go nuts, right? But you can only have 10 generics in your deck, and then that kind of makes people go, do I just auto include X, Y, and Z? I don't know. It is more interesting than banning it, like way more interesting.
Yeah.
Because I don't think banning these cards are actually the right solution either.
Because it also targets the problem of being like 9 D reacts. Because it's like good that classes can, like every class can have access to D reacts in their sideboard, so that when they face like new, they don't just have to sit there and get wrecked.
Yeah,
but
my class has rubbish D reacts. So what do I do?
But so my thought was it'd be 15, but it would apply to the whole 80, because I also think it'd be easier to enforce. Whereas like if you have to sideboard and then check, and then it's like weirder.
Yeah.
That would be really interesting, actually.
If it was 15 of your 80 can be generic max, you're like, well, I can run Warmongers and I can run Sync, but maybe then I have to like choose. I'm like, all right, but I can't run both because I already have these like other generics in my deck or whatever.
Yeah.
And it keeps all the classes and heroes feeling like distinctly like themselves.
Yeah, no, I like that. I mean, LSS, you're clearly listening, right? But but I think it's a really classy sort of thought process, really. But at the same time, I guess as well, it's not. We're kind of like peering through the window of the future, because right now, at the same time, I'm also looking at this stuff going, it's fine. Like I feel fine. I'm not like going, this is egregious.
It's not a huge deal at the moment.
At the moment, no.
I think that the moment where I thought, oh, this is not great, is actually when they banned Zephyr Needle and also the draw tools. Because that was kind of the things are kind of starting to break down.
Yeah.
But for a similar reason, because those cards, like you could have let some of those cards rotate in some way, Art of War and such. But instead they had to be banned altogether.
Yeah.
And I mean, money-wise, Out of Work was also expensive.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's. But weirdly enough, not a lot of people made a big song and dance over Out of War. Really, I think it was.
well, people were
It was
glad
like
that it was gone, which
it
is
Yeah.
was
the point.
clearly
Oh, they were happy they were
We
gone. They
reached.
weren't making a big song and dance that. They were
yeah.
my money. They were like, that's fine.
Well, I think the interesting thing is that LSS's statement was like very well handled on that, where they were like, "We're going to bite the bullet and ban these essentially
Yes,
design mistakes for the health of the game." But reading between the lines, there's no like, it's like this is going to be a problem that comes up again, and your only system seems to be hope we never do another design mistake ever again,
Oh, they
and that like
will.
every design we print for the rest of the game is future proofed. And it's like the comments someone made to me about Kraken's Eighth of Vein, where they're like, the first day I read that, I was like,
oh,
that's
that
going to be a
one.
problem
Yeah,
because
I was
it's
like,
just not a future-proof design. Draw cards equal to the amount of damage it deals. And at the moment it's printed, there was no way to modify the amount of damage it did. So it just said deal one, draw one. But it's like, people read the card and were like, well, clearly one day this is going to be a problem.
yeah,
And then lo and behold, years later, the day comes. And it's like, it's such a hard burden as a designer to be like, not only can you make no mistakes for the format, or you'll have to do bans, but you also have to future-proof every card ad infinitum.
I to sort of wrap this sort of topic up because wow, this is like the longest I've ever spent on the topic, but I've also done a lot of learning. So thank you. I honestly, I will not be shocked if they kind of look at this and implement something, and they're going to get something wrong again and again. Do you know what I mean? Because I mean, if you still think about it, 5 years is like still like nothing in compared to like how long we've actually been playing it. It feels it, but it's still just like so much more time to grow. But yeah, it's really good, and now I'm just going to keep looking at these generics, going, I've been matrixed by Francesco. Right, Jacob, your topic is should sets come out closer to tier 4 event? So you thought High Seas coming out at US Nationals is like close enough.
Well, I said tier 4s.
Oh, okay, true.
And that's tier 3s.
Would you want
I'm
that?
like, I think there's like a middle ground comment to be made
Yeah,
here.
I'm pretty sure.
But to be honest, for me, playing US Nats would be like personally be pretty hype. Well, I guess not this time around specifically because I'm going to be quite busy then with school. But in general, like the idea of being like, all right, like we're going to get the set like we're going to see the set like a week before the tournament, and then we're going to have this like incredible like crunch time of this week where we're going to be like throwing everything we can at like solving the format, and we're going to like show up with this really fresh meta, and everyone's going to have like really different ideas about what the good decks are, and like you having to run like sideboard tech with like no idea if the thing you're like trying to sideboard for other people will actually be on. Sounds like really cool and interesting, and it just like I feel like we never get like the closest we get to this in Fab is with nationals, but because they're staggered and because ours haven't been first week, at least while I've been playing, it's always like you just get to see the Nats the week before. But the idea of like, and it's because I was watching Magic coverage of their Pro Tour where they do this, where the set releases and 2 weeks later they have the Pro Tour. It like sounds so interesting and cool compared to what we get, where there's going to be like 3 months, I think, 2 months, like multiple coolings. Like everyone's going to know what everyone else is thinking. By the time we get to the Pro Tour,
it's hard, isn't it? Because it's not just set releases that come out. There's so many other weird factors in play, like Living Legend. You got a Road to National season comes up, and then Heroes just move on and they take all their stuff with it, and then whatever they may find is also bans. So if you happen to just imagine this set came out at Pro Tour London, Visceral's gone, they're going to do a ban. Not only that, everyone, here's a set. And you're like, whoa, bro. Like, I think there's only one people that are going to enjoy it, and that's the viewers. And I think LSS have got to toe this line of looking after you guys as well. Spending, I don't know, if we had to go to flipping Australia, it's going to cost you, I don't know, 800 quid just to get there. And then you're going to go, what am I doing? Like, what do I bring? How do I prepare for this? And
do you think that if it's closer to the set release, it's worse for the players?
I think so, and I think that only benefits people that have teams of strong community network of people that can just build on stuff. Whereas if you were a very good player and you kind of had one or two guys you know, and then those one or two guys are kind of a bit busy, and you've got 2 weeks, and you've just spent £800 on a flight. I know I'm being a bit specific, but I think this benefits some people who have a solid network to kind of figure things out really quick, and everyone else is just kind of
That could be, but that's also just part uh, of being a player of these tier 4 events.
true. But
Because
then with 3 months though, you've got life. That kind of, Jacob, you might be busy for this month because you've got things on, and then you kind of go, well, I've got a month or two, I can do real life things.
I understand what you're
most people are-
saying. Oh, sorry.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Jake.
go on, Francesco. I've been hammering on.
Okay. Most people I've spoken with that I know would be more excited, and this is players, and
Okay.
I'm not one of those sort of, as you say, with a good network or plugged in and with the team available 2 weeks to go. But
Okay.
even people I know would be more excited just playing after a set release. We just played World Premiere Prague. That was a very exciting event because nobody really knew what was going on. Then you have to explore the cards and figure out the cards
Sure. Yeah.
in real time.
I mean, cool. If I was just only trying to be empathetic to like you guys. Like I'm sitting there going, if I was you, I'd be kind of going, well, maybe you're right. Maybe the guys who have got a strong network of people, you kind of feel that you're not. Or maybe I'm looking at it all wrong because kind of if I go, I've got 2 weeks. I'm like, well, what you week or two ahead of me? I'm sure I can figure some weird thing out you didn't consider. Like while I'm there.
Well, I also think it's worth thinking like how fast information like travels. So this set on release day, like that Red Line Syndra list was like pretty. I mean, obviously it's because of the cooling, but it was pretty public knowledge. Like, so the cooling in Memphis was a week 0 cooling, and already like the people there basically knew like a lot already. It felt like I don't know, and then like because really you have 2 weeks before the set releases where you get like previews, and then I just think like the information moves so fast, and every PT that we've gone to, it just feels like infinitely solved.
Yeah,
and just to like I don't know, have like only 3 weeks is just so long. Is my thought.
It kind of, but there's also it opens up some to me a bit of weird things, and I'm just thinking myself as a sort of a content creator. That has now, not gonna lie, I don't actually spoil any good cards, so I'm not exactly under too much pressure. But there has been stuff where stuff gets leaked, and you've got a Pro Tour as 50k for a win. That's not a cheap bit of money. I don't know. Do you see what I mean? When there's so much pressure, and it's not just players put under pressure, it's also like content creators and everyone that's and LSS making sure that everyone gets to see the information fairly at the same time is just not going to happen, is it? Right? It's just people are.
Well, that would be the case no matter what. It doesn't matter.
But if it's 3 months, it's like, well, sure, someone's going to know something before you guys might do a week before. But by the time we're all down, you're going to have plenty of time to sort of digest the information rather than the guy that got it way before you. But you've got 2 weeks to digest the information. Do you know? I don't know. I'm just kind of being devil's advocate here.
Well, if there was a problem of information that is not allowed to circulate in this sense, then this problem will need to be addressed because then all the integrity of the tournament is compromised at that point.
I just want to be very clear. I don't do this. I'm not. But it's...
Well, also, to play devil's advocate on this, if I was a nefarious actor with access, because also usually you need to see all the cards to get a good picture. Like knowing a single card would be hard to get a big edge in testing on. Okay. But if you were a nefarious actor who had inside information on a card and had worked out what deck was going to be good because of it, it's way easier to monetize this by like doing secondary market than by like having an extra like week of incomplete information, but slightly more incomplete information with which to test. I don't know. It's, as Francesco says, if this is the problem, like that would be the problem to solve. But I'm not totally convinced.
No,
this
that's
is actually...
fine. I'm trying to be. I'm being the slight. I'm trying to be the viewers. Someone's going to come out and say something, so I'm trying to.
From the content creator point of view, or like coverage, it's all more exciting if it's fresh. Because say, I don't know, now there's Proto London in a month and a half, and it's like, well, everybody knows what the Aurora deck does. Are you going to do a deck of the person that top 8s with Aurora? It's not going to be very exciting.
All right, you got me there. you got me there.
Even like coverage just to sort of go through the plays, but everybody was kind of plugged in and has seen the format, played the RTN. You know what's going on. Now, what's the coverage for? Because new players maybe don't understand quite exactly what is happening, but established players will just know exactly how the matchup goes, what cards are played. It's just not very exciting.
No, that's true. And I think there's an element of where I guess is, if I was viewing this from London, I'm not going to be as excited. Like, it's going to be way more exciting to see this if this was a new set, like 2 weeks or a week before Tier 4. But it's going to be a completely different level of excitement. But for a lot of people, they're also going to be rooting for players as well. There's also the player narrative and region narrative. So there's a lot of it. And I actually think, ultimately, as we're talking about this, of course, I'd love it, right? I'd love it. I'd love it to see you guys just rock up 2 weeks before, brand new set, and then whatever you guys are doing, you just know that if you've cracked something, you're also dictating the secondary market. There's so much conversations going on. I think that's what this US Nationals with high Cs is, a litmus test. I think they're doing the test on Nationals to go, what will happen if we do this? Let's see if this works. Let's see how hyped US Nationals is going to be compared to other US Nationals. And if this works, and we kind of like this, then I don't think it's going to happen this year because they've got all of their sets mapped out. They've got their OPs mapped out with it. But next year, well, that's when I think that they're going to go, let's try a Pro Tour where the set comes out 2 weeks before because it worked so well at US Nationals. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean. I do still think the weird thing is that US Nats isn't 2 weeks after the set release. It's like the day the set releases. And it seems like it's like swung too far the other way.
But James White has said that basically, let's be honest, the set is going to be like kind of like the Hunted. And no one remembers the official release of the Hunted, but we all remember Prague. But Prague was 2 weeks before the official release.
But it was specifically a premiere event.
Yes,
but
it was the
but I mean,
I think they're also
as someone who was at Memphis, the card availability issues were quite bad.
Right. Okay. Well, I think that they're also going to be giving stores. They have, like you saw on James White dev chat, that
like I'm sure they're thinking about it and working on it.
Yeah,
but it's funny that this is like swinging. It's like they've been so late, and now they're swinging to be too early. And I'm just like, just 2 weeks before the PT set release, freeze the Living Legend leaderboard, and like do a final like no more BNR announcements.
Oh yeah,
just be like, everything's frozen. This is what it is.
Well, I mean, that would be kind of that would kind of be almost true because maybe for London, if Zen happens to get like 13, 14 or so wins for this last RTN season, and he's at the sweet spot of 50 points, and everyone's going, he's one battle hardened or calling away from just going, bye-bye, and it could be the week before Pro Tour London.
I mean, if he goes at Dublin, that will be like too close. But in general, like the most exciting tier fours for me have been where like 2 or 3 weeks before something shakes up, either an LL or this like Dash IO deck releasing a couple weeks before Worlds.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I welcome it. But I just think
that's a bad way to artificially create excitement just because you play one bust down.
Yeah. This is what I mean. It's like this has been the most exciting, but it's clearly like an imperfect system. It's like just actually release this because it's like you clearly kind of want this because you keep releasing armory decks, but just go the full way.
Yeah, All right, cool. Right, okay. So overall, it would be kind of gas. Would be kind of gas. Right. Last one. So we're going to stick with the theme here of continue to talk about tier 4 events. And it kind of does map out what you were saying before, Jacob, about this. But this came from amazing Patreon Jake Lancaster. And he says, what change would you make at major events? And to sort of break this down into further, whatever, right? Change the ELO, change the entire format, change anything. If there was a big call, well, let's just keep it to the Pro Tours and the Worlds, and maybe we could dabble in call-ins in this, right? But what major change would you like to see, or even if it's minor, I guess, for a big event, Francesco?
For sure, it's more team events.
More team events.
Only played one team event, which is all the team events that have been available in Europe, really, which was
the Uprising,
Calling Madrid, and was a blast.
We had 2 team battle hardens, just to.
Oh right, yes, this one's. Oh yeah, there was one in Florence.
There was a battle hard. There was a Blitz one in Florence, and then there was the CC one right as Mistfail released in Greece, I think.
Oh, this one I didn't know.
No. I think there's been some sneaky ones.
The thing is, I know what will have happened is that they both had bad flights from the UK, so they were like, "Bros."
Yeah, that was
right.
Yeah, okay.
But just a devil's advocate. But still, if we've only had one cooling, and then it's just like 2 battle arms. I do agree with. Sorry, this is a bit nitpicky, but I do see your big picture point.
Yeah,
of course, team events are dope.
3 events in 4 years that I've played, and team events are just like the most fun that you can have. You just go with friends, and for once, because you test with friends normally, and then you can play against them, and it's not quite as good as playing with them in the team, people you've tested with, and well, try to do well together.
I agree. Okay, so would you? So I guess would you actually like to see a team pro tour? Just go. Yeah, this whole pro tour teamed.
That would be cool. Yeah.
I feel like it could be lethal forming the teams.
Well, hey, look, you could actually solidly turn around and go, here are the 3, the 3 horsemen of Fab, and those 3 show up, and it's just like, oh, like I wonder.
But imagine being the 4th person.
Oh, well,
they're like, oh, sorry, the 3 of us.
Look, it's not. It's the end of there's always something in there. Even if you did 1v1s, you beat up your mate to get into a top 8. Oh, bro, how rough's this? But no, I think that'll be gas. A complete pro tour team event. I can already see Mansant and LSS's coverage team going, oh, like, how do we do this? But yeah, that would be really, really cool. Just don't even do draft. Just do team. Can you do a team draft? No, that'd be just so.
Drafts, of course, you can do team draft.
No, but like if you had teams of 3, then how many?
You do 6 person. There's team draft. 6 people in the pod. You alternate the seats of the drafters, and then there's a lot more like hate drafting that you have to like consider. And then after the draft as well, you can like work out what's in each person's deck, because you can be like pack 2, pick 3. I saw like this card, I passed it. Did you get it? And then he's like, no, that wasn't in my pick 5. So then like this person got that card.
I'm not even gonna lie, that would be actually so hype. That would be so hype. And then, like you said, Francesco, because sometimes as well, I even notice that, like, I see you guys, right? I'll see you guys at the call-in. And then we go, oh, hi, how are you? Yeah. All right, the round's about to start. Bye-bye. And then I probably will, just by any chance, we just may not even see each other now for the rest of the event. And then somewhere near the end, you go, oh, did you make it? And which is all fun, do you know what I mean? But if you were in that team, it's us 3. Sorry, you happened to pick me in your team. You kind of, we're in it, right? We're in it. We drove up together. We're all just sitting there cooking and thinking, and then the whole way through, you're supporting each other. I bet that's what happened at the Uprising Battle Harden, I imagine, Francesco, where you were just with your friends and cooking away.
It was, what was it? It was Blitz.
Yeah, it was Blitz.
Was at the yeah. But the event itself was Blitz, and yeah, it was great. We top 4 and we have stories from the
Wasn't this the heat
stories from
stroke
the event.
story?
Hmm?
Isn't this the heat strokes event?
Oh, for me, yes, but
Okay.
no, but other things as well, on like people doing specific plays that were discussed among the players, and you tend to remember more because you were thinking about the plays with your friends, and then you have stories to go because longer and they're more memorable. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Was that one of the best events you've ever played in Flesh and Blood, the Team of One?
Yeah, that was one of the most fun.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Jacob, is there anything that you would like to see a major change?
Elo.
I knew you'd say it.
Get it out of here.
What would you do? How would you
Pro player points.
pro player points? What's the difference?
We just rip it straight from Magic.
Oh, okay.
It's like so.
I don't know what it is. So what is that?
Coolings and above.
Yes.
I mean, Francesco is someone who's actually played Magic competitively, and I haven't. So I'm gonna like badly explain it, and then Francesco can tell me how I'm wrong. But as I understand it, it's like coolings and above would, in the same way that current player of the year points given out have like associated points for like how you finish. Then you get the points, and then there would be like tiers of like if you get a certain number of points, you then like are a bronze, silver, gold. We could do different labels for it if we want. Pro, where you then like qualify, you like get qualifications, and then you could also get buys, I think, in Magic from it as well, right?
Yeah, pirates. They could figure out what they want to do, but
Yeah, but rather than because Elo's so swingy that like in theory, what having Elo invites does is it means that the like very best players, the people who you would like expect to be at every event and for like story reasons want to be at every event and are like good enough that they shouldn't have to worry about qualifying, should just be a lock. But because it's so swingy, it almost feels like the opposite. It almost feels like a raffle of like your last event, were you up or down? Did you lose to someone like particularly bad or beat someone particularly? Are you at the top 75?
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
It's like it feels like it's meant to provide stability, but does the opposite. Whereas this like pro point system actually would do this, where it's like, all right, I performed well at like multiple callings this year. And so like on Elo, I should be a lock for Worlds. But if I go to the RTN for fun and then do badly, I could like miss out on my Worlds invite. But with pro points, you're like, no, I'm just good. Like you can't lose them by doing bad at an RTN.
Okay.
although the key should be that they are event cup, so you can't just hoard points by playing all the same events.
And that's the other thing. It would cycle on a season. So you also don't get the thing with Elo, well, because the winners of Elo are the people who don't play. And that's also like so backwards to how the organized play system should work.
Yeah. Yeah. I was sitting there thinking that Elo, like some people were saying, oh, scrap Elo, bring experience points back. And I said, absolutely not. Like, I thought the experience points thing was just awful for me, personally. I can see why it's a good thing, but I think it's just turned armories into, just sweaty hell pits where people just bring like the craziest stuff because winning gets you invites. Whereas now, I don't know. I haven't been in an armory in quite a long time. It's a place to actually just you can chill. Who cares? Like it doesn't matter. Like you can just jam with your friends, bring Riptide and Vincent and whatever, and just have a laugh. Do you know what I mean? Whereas if you wouldn't be doing that if you go, well, that's if you don't get enough experience points, bro, you're not get. Do you know? Some people do go into that bracket. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think experience was worse than XP, but I think this could be better than both.
Yeah,
would be my simplified pitch. Because I think I played KO at Armory last week, which was lots of fun, but I don't think I won any of my games.
It doesn't matter, does it? It's just did you just grab a gem pack and go? And what would I like? What I'd like to see a major change at the events. Bro, like you guys have just pretty much just got the best Christmas presents, and I don't know. For mine, I feel like I've got a pair of socks. I don't actually know how to sort of even top that because I suppose I tell you what, would it be they clearly would never do it. I know they would never ever do it, but I would love for them to just not do a pro tour where they just don't do draft, do blitz or something. I don't know. No, Francesco's gonna shake his head. I know they're never gonna do it.
I always tell people about how PT1 was the GOAT, but I didn't play during it, but just like only CC.
No,
it was so boring. Only
Purist.
and the same 3 heroes. All the way.
Just sit down and play mirrors. 16 mirrors in a row.
I know. I know the blitz was asking a bit much. And
LL. I think the actual answer is CC and LL. We have 2 good 40 health formats.
Francesco, I don't like playing blitz because every time I face against you, you continue to beat me when it matters.
I don't even need 4 cards.
No, don't.
We're safe now. He can't play Rhinar anymore.
He's telling about the story of where in the Swiss, I beat him with I don't know. I won in our Swiss game. It didn't matter. The one that didn't matter, and then in our top 8 game, I don't know what happened, but you basically there was a deck check or.
I had the knife too because I registered the wrong card.
You registered the wrong card, so he played with 1 less card, and I still lost. And I kind of walked away from that going, like, Francesco's the GOAT, or I just blow at this game. Or what really happened, and I'm going to die on this hill, is that I just got Runeblade hands, and that was it. You know, I got Runeblade hands, and Francesco's the GOAT. So there you go. Well,
I think my fun Blitz memory of Francesco is when I played Dromai for in Blitz at a skirmish for absolutely no reason, and you were on Rhinar. We played in Top Cut, and I beat you by some miracle. I don't think you drew a single Blood Rush in a 10-turn game, which is impossible because there's only 40 cards in your deck, but you did it. And then I beat you somehow.
But you just you flipped
and then
over.
I played another Rhinar in finals. Yeah. Well, I think it literally had to be one of those where you searched off something and then shuffled and they went back to the bottom again. I honestly don't know. But
wow. Okay. I think you're right there, Jacob, about having Living Legend.
I will add another one.
Oh, go on.
Of 2 events. Worlds should also have Blitz. The first Worlds with 3 formats was great.
I thought you said that was boring.
No. The first Pro Tour was boring. That was only CC. The first World
right, sure.
was CC and Blitz.
Yeah.
That was Thanos.
It was kind of weird how CC was top 8 and day 1, but not in day 2, though. I think I'd reorder it.
CC was the first.
I'd reorder it.
Yeah, so what they did was...
But I got 3 formats, amazing. But I would probably mess the order around a bit.
Well, they turned around. I remember everyone making that complaint because you had 4 rounds of CC and then 6 rounds of draft. And then there was 3 rounds of Blitz.
It was 5 rounds of CC and 5 rounds of Blitz. This was back when they were doing 8-round days. But the weird thing was that the CC rounds were so early that they weren't that consequential. So people were playing their win-ins.
But they were saying
in those Blitz rounds. And so then it's kind of weird because the Blitz meta was quite people brought Icelander, Oldhim, Prism, and Chain, and then it was very clear that some of those were the right choices and some were the wrong. No Chains or Oldhims converted well. So, but then you go to top 8 and the people who made the correct meta read are then not rewarded because they then don't get to keep playing the deck that they made the right choice to play. To me was the weird thing.
Yeah.
But 3 formats, amazing. I just changed the order.
Yeah.
And then it'd be
okay.
No complaints.
I suppose really what would be very weird is that I guess you kind of, I would personally be I like the 3 formats. I'd pick Living Legend over Blitz.
That's fine.
Yeah, because I do not. What's that?
Maybe you can have 4.
Oh.
The thing is,
just 1 round of draft. Just 1 round of draft. That sounds so ropey. Oh no.
Currently, no, 3 as in 1 draft, so 3 rounds of draft. But currently, Worlds is the same as a Pro Tour.
Yeah.
With just more money, but the event is exactly the same as a Pro Tour.
I agree.
So it doesn't feel special.
Yeah, no, I agree, and especially if you've got that one in the world, you just sort of go, "Here we go, everyone. It's a circus time," and you kind of just go, "Right, time to get good at all the formats." And I think it's the end of the year, and I think it would be a great celebration, wouldn't it, of just encapsulates the whole all the formats in one. When I say all of it,
Yeah.
one round of sealed. Just one random round of sealed somewhere. You go, okay. No, just one. Yeah, literally. Last round sealed. Let's go. Everything can. Your top cut is based off these 8 packs. You're like, it would be jokes. It would be pure jokes. That's when I'd feel sorry for all you guys.
No. Here's the real sauce. You fuck with the top 8 a bit. Am I allowed to swear? I didn't. I've already done it. It's too late.
Don't worry. We're 55
You make
minutes
the
in.
top 8. You make it like double elimination, and then you make the like losers bracket something crazy. Like the losers bracket is like shapeshifter sealed, but the winners bracket is just CC. So it's like fine unless you lose, and then if you lose, you're not. But you have to play like shapeshifter sealed.
You just like, welcome to hell, buddy. Like, oh
welcome
God.
to hell, buddy.
And then
and the winners are just like fine. They're playing CC. They're having a great time. You're in the losers bracket, and so you get to the grand finals, and you've been in the losers bracket all day. You finally get to play CC again. You have to win your CC game, drag the person from winners bracket into hell with you, and then play shapeshifter sealed as the decider.
This guy's just like, I don't know what my deck does anymore.
You're like, I've been. Never get in a fight with a pig. You'll both get dirty, but the pig will like it because you've been playing shapeshifter sealed all day.
I have to say that would be what would we call that? The chaos format, and everyone has well, you know.
You also don't tell them. You don't tell them until they get there how they're doing it.
It's the marionette format. There we go. That's it.
You don't have the caster either. You're just gonna go and see like Chris with Nebula Blade. And like, what the hell is going on?
That's all I'd want to do, Francesco. That's the only reason I'd want to watch this event, just to see you come on live and just literally say the words, "What the hell's going on?" I'd pay good money to watch that. And we'll end it there, everyone. That was actually, despite the fact that this is like a take two. This has been like, I don't think I've laughed so much in a calling episode. So thank you so much, guys. That was an absolute blast, and I hope you guys found it a blast as well. So thank you very much, everyone.